EA Sports Madden has been the only series with the National Football League license now for 13 straight years. A serious gridiron competitor to Madden hasn't been published in 10 years now, and at the moment it doesn't seem like there's going to be one in the future near or far. Madden is all we have as of now, but luckily the most recent Maddens have improved far from what the series used to be. There was a feeling of stagnation in the series between, let's say, 2007 and 2011 or so, when the games didn't seem to be improving and the publisher, and for the most part the casual audience, didn't seem to care whether or not they did. Madden and the National Football League itself are in a position where they could feasibly see consistent profits for years without having to change a thing, with Madden being the only NFL game on the market and the NFL being a consistent part of what is now American culture. Now that was the case at one point, though. Indeed, EA Sports has released a Madden game without an NFL license. It's known not as Madden NFL, but Madden Football 64. This game eschews the traditional Madden nomenclature in more than just that way, though, as this is one of the only Madden games not to have a year in the game's title, as the 64 here does not imply the year 1964, but rather the Nintendo 64, the console for which it was released. A frightening number of Nintendo 64 games highlighted the console's 64-bit microprocessor and game titles, and this is no different. There's also a FIFA 64 released the same year from the same company, but these were the only two EA Sports franchises to get special N64 versions. This is also the first fully polygonally modeled Madden game, as Madden 1998 on the PlayStation and Saturn infamously featured sprite-based character models, while competitor NFL Game Day 98 featured polygonal characters, and Madden 98's sales lagged because of it. While this wasn't the only football game on the N64 in 1997, its only competitor was NFL Quarterback Club 1998, which is genuinely one of the worst video games ever released to the world, and really only has value for the YouTube clip of somebody scoring on a 100-yard quarterback draw with John Elway. Madden Football 64, though devoid of the NFL's licensing, does have the NFL Players Association's licensing and mostly all stadium licensing. Therefore, Jeff Blake can quarterback a home game in Riverfront Stadium, and he can play for a Cincinnati-based team that wears black and orange, but the word Bengals never appears in-game. The Titans, who were at the time named the Oilers, are just Nashville, and the Not Patriots eschew both the New England and Boston indicators they have carried in their franchise's history in favor of the very specific Foxborough. The Not Vikings get the same treatment, named Minneapolis. Of course, this doesn't carry to other teams located in suburbs, as there are two teams named New York rather than East Rutherford, and Washington is still Washington and not Landover. I know this is all semantics, but it adds to just how weird this game is. We don't have a lot of weird Madden games, and to see this highly polished series we know now for being generally the same each year in a state like this is so bizarre today. Now, on the field there is no other Madden that plays like this, and I mean that in the worst way I can. Madden 64 was developed by EA Tiburon, the developers of each main series Madden and NCAA football game from 1997 to 2012, and it's clear that this was the first try at polygonal football from this developer. This is most easily seen in the run game, which is completely ineffective. Run blocking AI is maybe the worst I've ever seen in a football game. You might get to the line of scrimmage and maybe a yard or two more if you run up the middle, but blocks generally don't hold for more than about a second. You'll have about a 0% success rate running on the outside unless you get lucky and break a tackle, because while the offensive line play is awful, the blocking from fullbacks, tight ends, and wide receivers is downright non-existent. And folks, I've been playing Madden 64. You hear about this? You hear about this Madden 64? Let me tell you, the run blocking in that game is bad. Oh. So bad. The run blocking in this game is so bad. I haven't seen this many turnstiles since I was at the London Underground station. It's bad, though. I was able to gain some ground on quarterback scrambles and the occasional quarterback sneak, thus making Dan Marino my main running threat. In order to do anything offensively, you have to air it out, and for the most part, you have to air it out vertically, because unless you're working with, like, the best quarterbacks in the game, your accuracy tops out at about mediocre. Just about everything falls to the ground. One way around this is to wait for your receiver in motion to cross through about the middle of the offensive line and then snap the ball, but the defense generally picks up on that after a few seconds. No, most of your success on offense comes from just getting lucky and having a man open, or from chucking it downfield and hoping your guy jumps higher and gets it. The Texas Tech strategy, if you will. Generally, most of your success will come on jump balls. In fact, I threw so many jump balls that
Folks, the passing system in this game is so bad. I've thrown so many jump balls that I'm now officially an NBA referee. Yes, I've already been indicted on fixing games in favor of the Los Angeles Lakers.
There's no real way to be good at Madden Football 64 consistently. Everything just sort of happens, and Madden 64 could care less who's behind the controls. Your team's either going to lose or make it all the way to the EA Sports Championship, because they couldn't license the Super Bowl either. Madden 64 is a little bit ahead of its time, as there is a fantasy draft and a first-person camera angle, one we wouldn't see again until ESPN NFL Football in 2003. But you can skip this one. It's important, certainly. Basically every later Madden game draws back to it because they never left the fully polygonal third dimension. A lot of original things are important, but I wouldn't drink the original Coca-Cola with all the drugs in it with a slice of pizza, and I wouldn't use one of them big wheel bicycles, and I wouldn't, do a mediocre Carson impression in 2017, and there is just no reason to play Madden 64 in 2017 either.
This is a fucking Randy Savage impression. Folks, I've been playing Madden 64.